Good morning. I think this is my earliest ever presentation ever. So I hope I can speak well. Okay. Thank you, Horiuchi-san, for the wonderful presentation. So when I was discussing about doing this sharing this morning. Of course, this is actually the name of our book, The Art of Timeless Spaces. But I think this is sound a bit generic and is a bit boring in the morning breakfast. So then I was just happened to rewatch a movie, one of my all-time favorite, Shall We Dance, which is in 1996. How many of you guys had watched this movie before? Wow, okay. I guess majority of the people. This is absolutely a stunning movie. And I think when I was watching it, I was in my 30s, or maybe even late 20s. So, but and then I rewatch again recently. I find it super inspiring. I see different things, and I think actually when I prepare this talk, I think, okay, who is actually our partners when we design a space? People may say the owner, people may say maybe the hotel operator, but I think the actual partner is the space. Because, and then I look into this dance. It's like a tango, and then the abrazo, which like the few steps of a few major things about the dance is like to start with the embrace. It's like a designer. You walk into the space, you have to feel it, or you have to fall in love with it. You understand the scale, you understand the dimension, the contour, the possibility, the constraints. So that's like the first movement. And then the second movement is the caminata, so the walk. So you synchronize it, you practice with it, after you understand. So this is like when we, as a designer and the space, has to really like merge together and to bring out the best performance. So then, but sometimes you cannot just walk the whole time, right? So you need to create some moments. That's the cabrada. So that's like the moment, the deep, the dangerous moment sometimes, the off balance, like, wow, that's a contrast. That's a lot of time. It's the time that you really create the moment. So I think, wow, that actually sounds very familiar, sounds very like aligned with how we create a design, and no matter where it is. So we need to. So this is a fun part of our job. So then I say, how do I apply like back to my career, my job? Like, okay, so I think every project we encounter with many different partners, and not every space is built equal. So some has give us so much constraint, but some has give us so much freedom. So I would just put it like a scale of 1 to 10. And then I try to bring a few projects to share today. Like, okay, for example, the Four Seasons London, the first project I'm sharing, which is a stunning building. It's the second Four Seasons in London. It's in the Port of Authority building. It's next to the Tunnel Bridge, and absolutely like the stereotype of the grand hotel. So obviously, when you're looking at it, it's very stately, and then it's very Western. But my mission is to really to bring in an Asian restaurant, which is a mix of. The name is called Meume. So that is actually a restaurant with the Japanese mixing with the Chinese food. But when I walk into the space at first, like, okay, come on, this has nothing that feels like an Asian restaurant. But how do we manage to do it? So we have a lot of constraint, of course, not to mention this is a grade 2 listed building. So we have to preserve a lot of things. And then we also try to that's the embrace to walk, to understand a lot of motifs and things like that, understanding the scale of the window, because it wasn't built as a restaurant. So then how do we make use of them? And then also some space is very narrow with high columns. And then how can we design things to lower the scale to create a very comfortable a scale of space? And then so to make people to really enjoy sitting no matter where it is. Again, this is not, it should be a port of authority. It's where the people sail into the ship sail into the river thing, and then to pay tax. And then but how do we convert it into a hospitality? And then we also bring in things, and then we also try to capture all the existing motifs. The thing is really to make the space feel like the new space also almost feel like seamless to blend into the original scale, the original Corinthian columns. Everything has been maintained. Yeah. So and then we also bring in something local because all the material is from Europe, but how to using the local material like a chef to go to the local market to shuffle the ingredient, but make it feels like exotic. Yeah. So that was the fun mission, a fun part that we did for this restaurants. And then coming to the next one, just not far away, an hour from London, we also did another restaurant for in Milan, which is on the main shopping street, the Monte Napoleone. So this is the Paper Moon Giardino. So this is even older because the first one is 100-year old, but this one is 300-year old. But it's in a super busy hustle bustle shopping area. But so when we walk into the site, because it has been abandoned for many years. If next time you walk in there, then you see this. If you find the Issei Miyake, where's that is quite easy to find. So when we first walk into it, and then so this in a way that allows us much more freedom because it has been already completely gutted and nothing really much left. But then the challenge is now how do you understand the space? So of course then we start putting so the things is more doing it in a residential way, but also the other way is so this is like the entrance. Oh, by the way, the owner was like, why you put so many mirrors here? Like, cleaning is very expensive in Italy. But I just say, but this is a fashion capital. Like this is in Milan. Like, do you think mirror needs? And then then she smiled and then okay, yeah. So that's something we really needed for. And then, but when we open up the ceiling. And then we found some of the original murals. So these are little traits that we want to borrow, like this hexagon, the green color, and then and then also the shapes on the mural, and then how we inspire with like you see the way we have the line to become more triangular, circle, and so we try to capture just some hints, but again to build something that really contemporary, like this is in the main dining room with this mural, and then how we bring it this bronze color, and then also bringing it into like the fabric panel is super simple, but it helps acoustic. We all know Italians sometimes can talk quite actively, excitingly during dinner. So that's something we also want to create to make it suitable for the context of a restaurant. Yeah, even though this used to be a mansion before, and then we even pick this little images to speak to the context, because one thing that's special is that like it has a garden. So then everything this movie images that we capture is related to the garden. So people actually would bring out a dialogue and enjoyment. Yes. And then of course it really linked out to the very secluded garden in the heart of Milan. Yeah, of course next month is gonna be super busy. Salone is coming, yeah, around the corner, yeah. But what I try to show you, like even with the same brand, and then we come back to London, and then another project we did is in the old War Office, which is the Raffles in London. Again, it's a great to listed building, but again, it doesn't have too much heritage that we need to worry. So except like the mosaic tile, and that's pretty much. And then so this actually allows us a much more freedom to do so. Like this is actually the entrance behind, and then so see how we transform, how we give an entire new look to it. And then also the window is extremely, like the guy, the owner said, okay, the windows you cannot change because it's bomb-proof, because it's actually right across the Prime Minister's office. So this is still probably the only thing we're not allowed to change. So this is how we convert it and then bring it into a context, and so to create a very homey Italian restaurants, and then we bring in a lot of greeneries into the interior, creating the Instagram moments. Yeah, so that's and then of course being the bar would be quite important. Yeah, so that's the kind of approach that we take. So this one we are able to step up a bit to, as you see, I'm moving up the scale. Yeah, so now we have more freedoms to bring in new thing. And then fast forward, now we're coming to our neighborhood here, Roppongi. So as Horiuchi-san just mentioned, this is something we did last year, which is a very quick exercise. And we all know, we're very familiar, super familiar with this building, the lobby lounge. And this is before the transformation. And we know it's a little bit tired about the pattern, about the things, but this has been always the flagship for Marriott. And it has, but the business has been extremely well. So the last thing is really to close down the downtime has to be extremely short. So we only give we had enough time to design, but we only have a very short time to convert doing the transformation. So it's only a soft renovation is allowed, but actually it gives us quite an interesting like insight, like how much, how less you do, but how much impact you can actually create. Like this is still all the existing photo. But once so what happened is like, because it had a lot of this called, what's the name? Anegray, which is quite a typical timber that been using in the 90s. And then also we have the way that the pillar actually is not perfectly aligned. And then the problem of the space is because it's extremely open. And then so what we do is like we come up with a solution like, oh, maybe we should start adding some planter, because we have 7-meter ceiling, and then we create and then we are also helping to address a lot of the problem with the surface station. But actually that is something we try to using it as a spatial, we layer the space, we create, and then we actually putting like some of this very, yeah. Yeah, so these are the surface station we put in the center. So it suddenly help to demarcate the spaces. So now you come in, and then we emphasize the aisle, and then we create the centerpiece, and then also we actually bring the window, the curtain from the window side to cover on the column side. So actually we try to hide the window. We try to hide the width of the column, and suddenly the column becomes smaller, and the window becomes bigger. And then, so now you suddenly feel the verticality becomes so much more. And then even the little space, I don't know, maybe sometimes when you go there and they offer the column seat, you might not say, oh, no, okay, we changed. But now they're happy, because with the column, with the mirror, with the little lighting, with the greenery. So even the little space in front of the column became quite a sexy, cozy corner. So now with the full height surface station, with the massive of greenery, the forest, now you actually feel each space is very well defined, secluded, and so so this is the new look without touching any of the ceiling, without touching any of the wall. So and then we only change the ceiling and the whole furniture layout. And then it completely give a new look, and most happily, the business volume turned 300%. So that's really encouraging. This is a tangible figures, and then even the surface station side, we have some really cute objects, and then it brings in the whole new look to it. And then now coming to my home base, Hong Kong, so where I come from. So this is Argo. So this is another transformation we do. So coming to the scale, this is like getting more and more. Now we have a lot of freedom because on purpose, this is a bar called Blue Bar at the end of the lobby of Hong Kong. It was built about 20 years ago, but because back in that time, it's kind of because Hong Kong has been, whoever go to the Four Seasons before, when the hotel was built, we didn't have the highway. It's very close to water, but we keep reclaiming the water. So now we actually have a highway right in front. So now we no longer want the people sit so close to the windows. So what we do is that you see the column in the center. So I completely flip this space. I turn the column becomes a feature, and then I bring the people sitting backward to enjoy. This is like completely rebranding. Even has its own name, logo, everything. And you see, because this is a really big structure building, 1.5 meter diameter, and then so instead I'm just using it as a really iconic object. And because that's the challenge, is that you serve breakfast, like what we're doing today, but it also serves lunch and also serve dinner, and no, not dinner, and it turns into a destination bar. So it actually helps a lot of business revenue. Then we also transforming the one of the room with the Canadian Japanese artists, the paper artists, and then we call this the butterfly room. And then you see everything we allow to. This is like a very large freedom. Like pretty much we call the gut renovation, and then so now it became a destination bar. Or you see the same column, and then now became a column that became a back bar drop, a backdrop of the back bar, and then each of the ceiling is rotatable. So in the morning you wouldn't see the bottle when you're having breakfast. Imagine if we surrounded by whiskey, and then it doesn't feel like right. But now it's only open, and it became an Instagram moment. And then also recreate this kind of inspiration from conservatory, and so that actually even creating a very cozy corner, so the people pretty much enjoy sitting in here. So that's you can see the beautiful paper art by the Canadian Japanese artists, and we look into even the smaller detail. Have a preserved plant. Each of them is like a little pin spot. So that's we're moving up to the scale of freedom. But as Horiuchi-san mentioned, but then comes to the biggest freedom. It's the designer's own home, and then you actually have you have all the freedom. You have your own client, and so you're pretty much in the wild forest. Yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah, but of course, the most thing is it's to respect to understand the landscape, to understand. Yeah, so because it just by default, it has the most beautiful nature view of changing four seasons around. Yeah, so then even we try to how to capture the main beauty, and then the way we start designing it, and we even build a little model ourselves, and then to convert, and then we've tried because we understand how we want to live in a different like the lifestyle, which building is became a guest house, but there's a gym, there's a parking space, there's my studio is in the basement. Yeah, so then and then during the construction, and then we also climbing to the scaffoldings. It's because I actually live next door. During the construction, we managed to go and see all the progress. Yeah, so that's the labor of love. I have to say, and then this is the main living room. So then, and my study room, and then after all, and this is the exterior that we also put together with the. But it as a resort. I mean, in a resort. In the forest, a cottage, it takes time for all the greenery to grow, and that's actually how it's completed. Yeah, and then that's the view that how we actually managed to capture the whole landscape, and so that's the in the scale of 1 to 10, that's the 10 with the in terms of freedom. So then we really help, and then we also really want to build a greenhouse at the bottom of the slope that we all can enjoy the being embraced by the nature, by the forest. Yeah, and then it's also a time that we basically put all our collections over the last few decades into the same space. This is right in front of my studio, where I come out to catch a breath between meetings. And it's me and my partner, Terence. Yeah, so when we truly dance with the space, we do not impose. We converse, response, and create something that moves, breaths, and endures. So and then finally, now we have another 2 new partners we're working on, which is in the Kyoto, which is a Shangri-La right next to the Nijo Castle, literally in front or next, yeah. Just and then also it's not yet announced which brand, but it's gonna be one of the most iconic building in Shinagawa Station. So it's going to be a very fun project. So forget the steps and follow the music, and let's enjoy the dance. Thank you very much.
As I and you mentioned, you live in Karuizawa right now, and you have your own house there. So, how did you come to like Japan and Japanese culture and Karuizawa? Why do you live in Japan in Karuizawa right now? What is your motivation?
Wow, that's a very that's another 40 minutes of presentation. No, it's actually I think for most of the my peers or my friends, also today we got a few friends coming from Hong Kong here. I think for our peer we grown up with a lot of Japanese culture from the manga or even the Doraemon, and so this is something we've been always had a very fond memory about Japan. And of course, when we travel, I mean, since a kid, you start thinking with your toys, and then then the TV games, and then fashion, and then everything. It's been a part of our upbringing, and of course, and I think. But back to the question about Karuizawa, is I think my first encounter is the Hoshinoya when it was open, and then I just following like everyone was raved about it, and then and then my partner and I decided to let's go there, and then it was like the first week of November, and it was like wow so cold, but and then it suddenly and then we see the most beautiful scenery, the freshness of the air, and then say wow this is kind of like a paradise. So then we keep coming back again and again, but one day when we decide to like have a second home, and then and then immediately we start looking at the Karuizawa. Yeah.
Seth Sulkin. When I visit luxury hotels, usually they tend to be very dark with a lot of marble and very complicated design. Is that the essence of luxury, or can luxury be light and simple without a lot of heavy materials like marble?
Well, I think the answer is 100%. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I think now especially now we're working with all the top luxury brands like Four Seasons and Rosewood, even Ritz-Carlton. We're all moving away from being the word contrive. We try to make things that almost feel like. I think the ultimate goal is it has to look residential. Like, because I think it's a very interesting question. When I first started my career back in the 90s, it's like we always say a luxury home. We say, oh, it's like a 5-star hotel. But now it's the other way around. Completely, the paradigm have completely shifted. Now you want to say a luxury hotel, it has to have this kind of residential feeling. Like, because I think over the years, this ultimate luxury is actually happening in residential. Like even nowadays when we're doing all the projects, they all try to say, oh no, this is too hotel-y. This is too much like even designing the mini bar. Oh, it's it's over-designed. So that's actually something we're really moving away. It's not just a single brand, but I think all the luxury brands, especially on the ultra luxury sector. Yeah. So and then if you talk about resort, is even barefoot luxury. So they want, because I think we all live in an area for the tier of this luxury clients, discerning travelers. They're so used to this very well-designed space. So now they want to, the moment is about gearing down, especially on leisure travel. But of course, everything has to also equipped properly for today's technology. Everything, yeah, has to be there, but in an invisible way. Yeah.
Hi, Ed. I'm Chihiro Oding. The question is, when we met 4 years ago at the hotel, you noticed that there's a lot of female in restaurants and everywhere. And, we talked about we need to create the space that actually women looks beautiful. Since then, you worked on a number of projects here. Is there any design idea or philosophy you have, particularly for Japan project?
I think yes. I think not just for Japan projects. I think it has to be, that's actually our job, to be an international hospitality designer. Like, even, although I didn't go through today, like even in the flyers of our breakfast this morning is actually a project in Portugal, which is a W in Algarve. Is like a resort area, but in a different vibe. So I think every locations we have to be site specific. Cultural specific. After all, it's also a very common understanding about creating a sense of space. And of course, back to your question, I think Japan also has a more, it's like the appreciation of simplicity. So that's in general, we also try to make sure the color palette and everything that has to also align. Especially, we know the domestic travel is very strong when it comes to hotels. Yeah, so that's yeah. But it's just be mindful. Like we need to understand like the perception about the beauty in the different locations. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alessio Giacomel. I love the analogy with the dance and how to behave with the space. I would like to know, I'm actually already 20 years in Japan, but I still would like to know, do you think, let's say, Western and Asian clients are using luxury spaces differently?
You mean Asian clients and?
I mean, for instance, if you go to a beautiful luxury resort,
Right.
is there a difference between, let's say, Asian clients, how to enjoy the space, and with Western? It's maybe a very difficult question, but just like I was always.
I think not so much about the nationality these days. I think people are very worldly, like very international these days. And but also when we design hospitality, we also cannot limit it to a certain nationalities. But I think one thing, back to your question, I think is the level of privacy. I think that's how people feel about the kind of a distance and like, for example, like Arman, like basically it's, I mean, the higher level of the luxury, the more secluded, the more anonymous, like the client want to be. Yeah, they want to be there on their complete circle. Yeah, so even though they're enjoying the beautiful environment. Yeah, so I think that actually also apply to both Western and Asian. Yeah, so yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Johnny.
Hello.
Two questions. One, what do you think? I see you do a lot of reinvention of traditional into contemporary, which is very interesting, and it's a strong theme in Japan, from the Mingei movement to reinvent traditional arts and crafts into contemporary design, architecture. What do you think is outside of the traditional, what is your most cutting edge contemporary design, in your opinion, that you've done in the world?
Actually, I seldom use cutting edge to I mean when we coming to our design. But I recently, like for example, there's a beautiful building in Hong Kong which is called the Henderson. That's also why I just came back, which is a beautiful building done by Zaha Hadid. So now we are helping the owner of the building to bring in a very famous restaurant called Akila Back. Which is a celebrity restaurant also in many different locations. I think now the whole thing has been evolved. That's why I always thankful in our team. We need to keep bringing in like fresh graduates with the latest knowledge about softwares. We have a lot of features that I think back in the time probably it would take years to build, but now we have to work with our new colleagues who had so familiar with this Enscape, Rhino, whatever the softwares, and involve a lot of CNC and then like all this technology to build. So I think these are the know-how that we want to bring into the new design. But it is not, having said that, but it's not necessarily to be looking cutting edge, but it's the cutting edge know-how, how to execute the design. But it can turn out to be looking a bit more classic looking, but it's just the way, the methodology. Yeah, so I would rather to put it this way.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing the new design in the Henderson. The other question is, outside of your designs in Tokyo, you have many collaborations, like I mentioned, inspired by the Mingei movement in 1910, 1920, to revive Japanese arts and crafts, not as arts and crafts, but as mediums in contemporary art, design, architecture. And which is your favorite design in this aspect. For example, at the Grand Hyatt, you have Isamu Noguchi, Stonemaster Izumi, collaborating with the furniture maker George Nakashima to create the sushi and the Japanese restaurants and the Western-style Christian chapel.
Yeah.
And then you have Hiroshi Senju
The mural.
with the waterfalls
Yes.
in the Shinto chapel, all under Super Potato.
Yes.
And then you have the Mandarin Oriental, you have Nuno's, everything done in Nuno's textiles.
Right.
Or at the Aman, you have Kerry Hill using, doing like a contemporary version of Frank Lloyd Wright, using local lava rock and the high washi paper ceilings.
Yes.
What is your favorite design, outside of your own designs, what's your favorite design in Tokyo?
I think you just mentioned most of them. No, honestly, like I think especially the Grand Hyatt one. I mean, all the way like from this kind of super potato big rock, and then how the space being the whole spatial arrangements, and I think these actually very important. But slightly back to a little bit push backward. I think one very important hotel, my lifetime influence, it's a Park Hyatt, which is still under renovation. I think that Park Hyatt really bringing me, which happens to be a designer, an American designer living in Hong Kong for a very long time, Mr. John Moffat. And I think that it really brings our understanding. We're completely changing the perception of luxury, all the way from this very ornate, classic peninsular Hong Kong. I mean, not the Japanese. So this is this or the Ritz in Paris. This is like our old definition about luxury hotel. But suddenly, this Park Hyatt, the minimalist, and this very serene quality, completely changing everyone's mindset. Yeah, about the luxury hotel. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Ed. Great
Hi.
to see you here. Rana. So design, you were talking about restriction and on the scale to freedom. Design obviously has a lot of personal touches, and then your clients also have their own personalities. Can you share an example of a particularly challenging job and how you're able to either convince your client to go a certain way or work with that client's particular choices that may not be what you're thinking of?
That's my everyday job. That's actually, honestly, that's my, because I think the reason why I think dance is also important, I think I forgot to mention is I feel design is like a tango. Like sometimes if you pull and then someone and like you step front and someone has to step back. Someone's like you can otherwise you crush like or you're stepping on someone's toes. So I think that's actually quite a skill for designer. Like of course I was using a space as a reference. Like sometimes a space is like keep pushing forward like a lot of the offer. So I have to step back like the Paper Moon in Milan, like or like the London. Like so it's sometimes I need to just being humble. But being humble, it doesn't mean like you're being passive. Like being humble, you just try to understand, try to see within the very little parameter how much I can do just to elevate yeah. So I think, but I've been lucky. I think most of the client who actually coming to us AB Concept to design, they already have a big trust on us. So I've been lucky. I haven't been a very painful tango. Yeah. So yeah.
Good morning. My name is Naoko Sugita, and I'm from Space Agency, meaning outer space. And this is from pure curiosity, but like if there's right now commercial space sector is booming, and like if there's a hotel in the space, like would you be interested in like designing? And, and
No, I
full of
think
restriction,
no,
full of
we
restriction.
design, we enjoy all kinds of space that offer in an interesting brief and challenges. Yeah, so we're not particularly like restrict ourselves to particular genre. Yeah, yes, so.
Yeah, Edo, thank you very much for your presentation. I love the word, it's abrazo, very well. And by the way, I feel Japanese basically love the minimalism. I think so. But your design not feeling minimalism, but the detail is very minimal. Someone said such a balance of the beauty, it's a maximalism beauty, someone said. What do you think is the minimalism and the maximalism? I don't say that the maximalism beauty is the right word, but I feel it's the design balance is very beautiful. It's not minimalism, but where do your design inspiration, the design balance come from?
I think thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think the balance is really coming from your guts feeling. Like I think designer has to always follow our guts feeling. It's kind of also like a chef. Like when you understand your ingredient and how much seasoning you put there, it's all about your taste. Yeah, it's really hard to say. Like, do you want a bit more spicy? Do you want a bit more salty? A bit more sweet? That's really about. It's nothing right or wrong. It's also really depends on the ingredient that you have on in the kitchen. Like how much you really put in there. Yeah, and thank you for putting it this way. I don't believe in a particular description about maximalist or minimalist. I I think even a minimalist, like I would say, if sometimes you may see a lot of detail, but if you're being, I mean, minimalist, I don't think it's just mean like a plain wall, a plain ceiling. It doesn't mean that, but even a minimalist, you can, if I think it's about the idea. If you can really consolidate your idea in the purity, like just keep your idea very focused, then you're a minimalist. I think that being maximalist is being, I interpret is like you put so many idea into one area that that's a different thing. Yeah. So that's how I would interpret minimalist and maximalist in a different way. Yeah.
Yes, we have a question from Mr. David Wilkie, who is a founding member at Asia Society Japan. What impact do you believe ESG and environmental concerns is having on architecture and interior design? And are you seeing clients focused on those issues as well as good design? What are easy things that can be done in this regard?
I think this whole topic has been around for the last decade, or especially the last half decade. I think that's why you're actually seeing more of repurposing buildings. A lot of buildings that has been all these heritage buildings, all this transformation of usages. I think these has been, and people start also valuing them. And then also for designer, it gives us a lot of thought if we can actually give a second life to many of the materials, the space. Yeah, I think that it has been a very lengthy educational process. It totally affects our sense of beauty. And also, it really affects especially all the way from millennials and also to the Gen Z. Yeah, so they are. Yeah, I think they looking at the beauty quite different from my generations now. Yeah. Yeah, and they are dictating the future and and also all the commercials. Yeah, so.
My name is Jun Kigosh. I'm working from the bank. So I really appreciate today's the presentations at well, from the very strict to the very much freedom area. Probably you still have the financial constraint of that, by of the owner side. But my question is that I really want to hear your ambition. Well, ambition means that in case of the architecture side, that the architect itself may last in decades and sometimes centuries. So they may have the ambition to keep or remain his or her work for years and years. But in your case, that it's a skin of the structure, and well, I hear that your changing or development, development of the designs are very much, site specific and also age or time specific. So when you create a new idea or present, create a design for the specific, the architecture, how long you expect your work stay there? And how much you are free to think that the new one will come and redecorate again years later also. This is my question.
Okay, thank you. Okay. To summarize your question, one keyword is timelessness. Yeah. I think I quote one of my favorite designer, Tony Chi. he also said, only time can tell. Like, so, because we of course, all the ambitions of designers is to create something timeless. But but when we design something, we can strive to it, but really time can tell how long it lasts. But definitely, but now as I think, but in a way that like for the luxury residence and hospitality, we want to create things, but like we never really create. One of the say the future proof is don't design for the trend. That's something we never do. That's the step one. And then the other thing is to make sure when you design the things, it can be aged. Like, so in terms of materials, like rather than just having all the sheer materials, but things that really, or the details that can be aged. And that's actually something why, as a designer, and I think that's also back to Horiuchi-san's question, why I like Japan has been very well known about using these materials and detailing for things that manage to age beautifully, like a beautiful red wine. So it actually looks even better. Yeah, so I think that has been these two mindset, not designed for the trend and things that can age, is the two essential idea, foundation, to do a timeless design.
Sorry, we have another question from online, from Kazuko Aso-san. What do you think about the risk and restriction of the earthquakes and environmental risks in Japan when it comes to design and what you do?
No, I think this part I have to rely a lot on my peer contractor partners' advice. I mean, to be honest, earthquake is something also quite new for me as someone from Hong Kong. We don't have such things, luckily. But I think when we're coming to because like for all the features, pendant lighting, hanging objects, like freestanding bookshelves, whatever. So a lot of things that has to be well considered. But usually our peer partners in the project will give us a very good advice. Yeah.
Hi, Sawako Hidaka, Executive Director of Asia Society Japan Center. Ed, thank you so much for coming today, and the analogy of dance was wonderful. My question is, since you're living in Japan, is there any this is like in your dream, so it doesn't have to be specifically. You could say anything, but in your dream, do you have like a dream project, a location in Japan that you'd like to build? It could be anything, but is there some sort of a dream that you have in Japan that you'd like to create?
I think I have been very lucky. So I've been doing, as also mentioned, like I'm open to suggestion. I'm open to inspirations. But I think I've been very lucky. Like we just first my home, and then also we're working on heritage part, which is the Nijojo, and then the wild nature side within Hokkaido. So I think we've been covered quite a lot of spectrum, but that's why I said I'm open up to inspirations. Yeah, please, if you think of anything we should do. Yeah, yeah. So I've been thankful. Yeah, I've been grateful. I've been thankful, like to whatever like having with us already. Yeah, so. Yeah, I'm actually honestly I'm not a very ambitious person. Like my most enjoyment when I finish a project is like the last step, forget the step, follow the music, and let's enjoy the dance. So for me, a performance, a design is like a performance. And then at the end, when I'm casually sitting in the coffee shop, in the restaurant, or in the hotel lobby, and I'm seeing the people coming in, have a happy smile, taking photos, have a wonderful gathering time. That's my most happiest reward, actually. Yeah. Thank you.